Hello there, Senators, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to explain the fact that some of you may be missing out on some of the best Star Wars content we've seen in years. That's right, the Bad Batch Season 3 is finally here, and we are talking about all the reasons you need to watch the final installment. Season 2 left us in tears, but also with some questions. We saw Tech sacrifice himself to save Omega and the rest of Clone Force 99, only to have Omega captured by the Empire and taken to Mount Tantus. Crosshair finally decides to betray the Empire, leading him to be taken to Mount Tantus, and we were introduced to the evil Dr. Royce Hemlock, the chief scientist of the Empire, who was also overseeing their cloning program on Mount Tantus. The back half of Season 2, while exciting to watch, left us with many questions we hope Season 3 answers. Luckily, I think we're in for a treat. One critic praised the show for its incredible animation and teased Easter eggs, cameos, and other surprises. Another critic hinted at the show's darker turn and ties to Star Wars lore. And perhaps most intriguing, Jordan Mason from Cinelex stated, "Truly wild. I was about as disinterested in the Bad Batch as one could get." He goes on to say that this could be one of his favorite Star Wars animated series. While all of this may be true, you're probably thinking, so what? I want to see this for myself. And I agree. We obviously won't know for sure what this season will be like until the final episode in May, but I'm here to tell you all the reasons you should be excited based on what we already know. Before we get started, I would appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button and let me know what type of content you want to see in the future. I was most excited by a post I saw on X, formerly known as Twitter. Star Wars Holocron was able to view the first 8 episodes of Season 3, and they say, "This season ties the entire saga together, from the prequel trilogy to The Mandalorian to The Rise of Skywalker." Now, cloning has been a major focus in Star Wars projects over the past few years. It has been explored heavily in The Mandalorian series, which makes me wonder if Season 3 will somehow connect to Grogu and Moff Gideon. And while there's a lot to digest in Star Wars Holocron's post, the most fascinating part is how this could tie into Episode 9. But how? In the trailer, we hear Palpatine say,
"There is nothing of greater importance to secure the future of this empire. Whatever is needed to accomplish this goal, you will have it."
We see Palpatine walking with Dr. Hemlock in the final trailer. It's safe to assume his comments are aimed at the Empire's cloning efforts. I think we're going to learn a lot about Palpatine's contingency. We may get our first clue and insight into the "somehow Palpatine returned" remark made by Poe in Episode 9. If you want the backstory to Palpatine's return in Rise of Skywalker, you're going to want to watch Season 3 of The Bad Batch. For those who have read Star Wars novels, you're in for a treat if you watch this next season. Asajj Ventress, former Jedi, bounty hunter, and apprentice to Count Dooku, is seen with yellow lightsabers in the latest trailer. This is particularly interesting because Ventress was assumed dead. Her supposed death is in the Star Wars novel Dark Disciple. I haven't read Dark Disciple, but I know I, like many fans, had numerous questions as to how she survived. Since her body was laid to rest on Dathomir, my theory is she was brought back to life by some kind of magic on the planet. Nevertheless, if you're a fan of the Star Wars novels, you're going to want to watch this season to get some answers. Many fans love The Bad Batch because it concentrates on clones and their individual personalities. We've been following many of our favorite clone stories for some time. In some cases, like Rex, Wolf, and Gregor, we know what their fate becomes, as we see it in Star Wars Rebels. What we don't know is how we get there. As for Commander Cody, we aren't actually sure where he ends up because we don't see him anywhere else in live action or animation after he defects from the Empire in Season 2 of The Bad Batch. Will we get answers in Season 3? And what about Omega's fate? Will she survive by the end of Season 3? My gut feeling is yes. I think the season will end with Omega entering normal civilian life, perhaps reuniting with Cut Lawquane. We know from the trailer the Empire will be running tests on Omega, and she could end up being extremely valuable to their cloning efforts. Instead of roaming the galaxy, it makes sense she would go into hiding, perhaps waiting for the right time to emerge. I think we're going to learn a lot about Omega and just how important of a role she plays in the Empire's cloning efforts. We may even be able to draw a line from her to the Palpatine we see in Episode 9. What do you think? Do you think Omega survives? Do you think she comes into contact with Boba Fett? Let me know in the comments below. And finally, what about the fate of Hunter, Wrecker, Crosshair, and Echo? We don't see them anywhere else in the Star Wars timeline, so unfortunately, I think they're all going to die. We witnessed the death of Tech at the end of Season 2. Some believed he survived the fall, as we see Dr. Hemlock holding his goggles. But what about the rest of Clone Force 99? Do they survive? I posted a poll on my channel asking senators if they believe Darth Vader will show up at the end of the season. As of right now, many of you believe we could see the Sith Lord make an appearance. Could we see the entire Bad Batch struck down by Vader as they help Omega make an escape? All I know is this: you need to watch this last season of the Bad Batch. It is going to answer many of the questions that have arose from watching the other 2 seasons, but it's also going to set the stage for some intriguing stories and questions moving forward.